Welcome back. We have the quarterback start sits here for week 8. Let's go ahead and waste no time jumping right into it. Kicking us off Thursday Night Football, you have the Buccaneers and the Bills here. Baker Mayfield is questionable. However, if he is playing, which it all seems that he is going to be playing, I'm going to go ahead and give him a cautionary start here. If Mac Jones can do well against the Bills, then I think Baker Mayfield can do well against the Bills, especially with the wide receiver core that Baker has versus Mac Jones. Yeah, I like that outcome a little bit better. But Baker Mayfield, cautionary start for me in this one. Obviously, it comes down to the injury, and if Kyle Trask does play instead of Baker, go ahead and sit Kyle Trask. Josh Allen, on the other hand, go ahead and start Josh Allen here on Thursday Night Football. Moving on, you get the Jets and the Giants kicking off our Sunday 1 o'clock game. Zach Wilson, sit him in this one. There's no doubt about that one for me. Giants pass rush is going to be pretty good in this matchup. Their front seven is actually really good, and I don't think people really realize that when it comes to the Giants. They just think, oh, Daniel Jones, no receivers really, no, it's not the case. Their front seven is pretty good, and that's going to give fits to Zach Wilson majority of the game. Giants side of the ball, though, Daniel Jones, he's questionable in this one. I still don't think he comes back this week. Maybe next week is more likely. If Daniel Jones does play, he's going to be a sit. Tyrod Taylor is going to be a cautionary start in this one for me. Jets do have a pretty good secondary, and that's where it kind of gets tricky. So we'll see what happens with that one. But Tyrod Taylor, again, if he plays cautionary start, he did throw 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 421 points last week, though. So keep that in mind when you're talking about this. He could still put up 17, 18 points for you if you need a quarterback stream this week. Jaguars and Steelers now. Go ahead and start both of these guys. Trevor Lawrence looked like he wasn't even hurt. So go ahead and start him in this one. Steelers are going to have a little bit better pass rush than the Saints. However, I still think they're going to be using the utilization of ETN out of the backfield, maybe dump it off. Christian Kirk, a little slant route or a deep bomb occasionally. And they're going to still utilize Evan Ingram. So they're going to get the ball out quickly if they do have a pass rush. So I'm not too worried about that. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a start. Steelers side of the ball, I think Kenny Pickett's going to be a start this week as well for me. Kenny Pickett, a lot of people are saying Kenny Pickett shouldn't even be a star. 15, 13, 12 points, whatever the case is for him consistently. Kenny Pickett's going up against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are terrible against the pass. Derek Carr just kind of put up 21 points almost in most leagues, depending on your scoring. Anywhere between 18 to 21 points in your league. I think Kenny Pickett could do somewhere around 18 to 20 in this matchup, especially at home against the Jaguars. Next up, we got the Eagles versus the Washington Commanders. And Eagles side of the ball, Jalen Hurts is going to be a start. No other words need to be said there. And then Sam Howell's going to be a sit for me in this one for the Commanders. That's all I really need to say about that one. I don't think there's much more explanation needs to go on in that one. Rams, Cowboys now, and Matthew Stafford's going to be a cautionary start for me in this one. Yes, you got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in this. However, the way wide receivers accumulate points in fantasy versus quarterbacks is two totally different things. I think Matthew Stafford can still put up maybe around 13 to 15 points. It's up to you if you want to start him. But there isn't also the upside of him turning the ball over. He has done it a lot. He is almost averaging 13 points a game pretty much at this point. He's got a floor. He can pretty much guarantee you almost 13 points a week at this point. However, on the other side of the ball, you got the Cowboys, Dak Prescott. They did have a bye week in week 6, or after week 6, so last week they were on a bye week. But against the Chargers before they went on the bye week, he finally started doing pretty well again. 272 yards, a touchdown. He did rush the ball 7 times for 40 yards and a rushing touchdown for Dak. So not bad there, not too shabby. I like it. And a matchup against the Rams, yeah, I'll take that one, especially at home against the Rams. Vikings and Packers now, and Kirk Cousins looked pretty good, and a lot of that has to do with the way that Jordan Addison definitely played in this game on Monday night. Kirk Cousins is going to be a start for me in this one. Jordan Love's going to be a cautionary start. Vikings still are a bad defense. However, Jordan Love and his turnovers are a big issue here. Anytime it comes to a game-winning potential drive, he's turning the ball over with an interception. Definitely seems like a lock at that point. So at this point, if you're a sports bettor, I'm not condoning it, but it seems like it's more than likely Jordan Love is going to be throwing an interception if it's a game-winning drive. Just saying. But yeah, that's something that you need to definitely keep an eye on with Jordan Love if you need a streamer this week. Again, not opposed to it. I streamed him last week. 15 points is not terrible from a streamer just because of who I had as my starting quarterback. It was actually Trevor Lawrence, and I did not want to take a chance with his knee. So definitely somebody I'm not too opposed of starting if need be. Now you got the Falcons and the Titans, and Desmond Ritter is going to be a cautionary start for me in this one. There's a possibility for him to put up some decent fantasy points. Again, somebody that if you need a streamer, I wouldn't be opposed to Desmond Ritter. However, on the Titans side of the ball, Ryan Tannehill is questionable with ankle injury, and it seems like all reports are saying that it's actually going to be Will Levis instead of Malik Willis that could be starting this week. Regardless of how that goes, though, Malik Willis or Will Levis, I'm going to go ahead and sip all of them in this matchup. Definitely no opportunity for them to be a start anytime soon unless something happens and one of them all of a sudden turns into like Brock Purdy did last year. Patriots and Dolphins now, and you got Mac Jones. Cautionary start for me in this one. He did do good against the Bills. However, against the Dolphins and the way that they've been doing pretty well as of now, I just don't see Mac Jones putting up two really good back-to-back games in this situation. I really don't. Josh Allen did did do pretty decent near the end there, I should say, as they tried to make a comeback, but the Patriots did end up taking a drive down the field and winning it. Mac Jones was decent last week, I'll have to give you that, but I don't feel comfortable pushing him into Week 8 on this note. Saints and Colts, on the other hand, let's move on to the next game here. Derek Carr, go ahead and start him, and then Gardner Minshew is going to be a cautionary start for me. I do like the upside here, especially because everyone kept saying Gardner Minshew doesn't really have that running ability to, get the play developed or whatever. He showed that. He showed that last week, definitely against the Browns. He had 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Who would have guessed it? And that's why he's a cautionary start for me, because he's going to probably end up getting some pressure from the Saints front, and that's going to allow him to have to extend some plays a little bit. So you might get some rushing upside there. Again, another guy that if you need a quarterback or there's an injury to a quarterback or whatever the case is, like let's just say for whatever case you had Baker Mayfield as your starting quarterback and Deshaun Watson as your other starting quarterback, right? I can already see the irony coming my way on both of those guys being listed in my hypothetical, but we're going to move on anyhow. But let's just say that was the case. You need Gardner Minshew as a streaming quarterback. He's going to give you upside on the rushing side of it. We'll see how that goes for that in that case, but I do like the opportunity for Gardner Minshew. And then again, if you can get it to Josh Downs and Michael Pittman, they're going to turn on the Jets and go down the field. So they're going to get you yards as well that way. Saints side, Derek Carr, start him with or without Chris Olave, depending on what they end up doing with him after his reckless driving situation. He's still going to be a start for me in this one. He's put up almost 20 or over 20 points, depending on league scoring, in 3 straight weeks. Definitely love the opportunity against the Colts here as well. Texans, Panthers now. This one's going to probably get a little bit of a backlash. CJ Stroud, start him. This is a good matchup for him. But also start Bryce Young. I do think Bryce Young is starting to come into his own. Texans might give him a little bit of an issue here and there. I don't know on the outside. I mean, if he does throw an interception or two, hey, Bryce Young played the Lions through 2 interceptions and still put up almost 20 points. That's the funny thing about fantasy football. You can have a guy play almost garbage and get blown out, but he could still put up fantasy numbers. And I think this is a matchup where both the number 1 and number 2 overall pick are going to go ahead and duel in this match. I do think it's a good way to start both of them. We'll see how it plays out. Sunday at 4 p.m., let's go ahead and kick it off with the Browns and Seahawks, and Deshaun Watson is officially ruled out, so P.J. Walker will be the starting quarterback. In this situation, I'm going to sit P.J. Walker in this one. There's no reason to start him against the Seahawks, who are actually starting to pick it up on their defense a little bit. So if you want a streaming guy for, streaming defense, I would honestly look at the Seahawks, just saying. Geno Smith, on the other hand, I'm going to go ahead and give him a cautionary start. Even though the Browns might not have the offense, their defense is legit. I've been saying it week after week now. I know you guys are probably getting tired of it, but they are. And Geno Smith might have some issues, and it all depends also on the health of Tyler Lockett. So if Tyler Lockett plays, he's going to have a better opportunity to put up more points. But if he doesn't, it's going to limit his upside here as a quarterback to score points in Week 8. Bengals and 49ers now. Joe Burrow is going to be a start for me. And this is where it gets interesting. Brock Purdy is questionable with a concussion, okay? That's going to be an issue on 2 factors, for not only receivers, but for the quarterback side of it as well. Now, the issue with Brock Purdy is he took a big shot to the head trying to go for that quarterback sneak in Monday Night Football. He is questionable, like I said, concussion protocol. However, if he does come in and play, I still wouldn't want to play him in that, especially with the head injury. He's going up against the Bengals. They're pretty stingy against the pass as well. And without Deebo Samuel, you're probably going to have to use Christian McCaffrey more. And Brandon Ayuk, I don't know how well he's going to do now. He only had 10 points last week, but Brandon Ayuk for me is a cautionary start. So, I mean, even with Brock Purdy coming into this game, if he does, I'm going to sit him. And the same thing goes for Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold's their backup, and I don't like the opportunity for Sam Darnold in this situation either. But like I said, Joe Burrow's a start. All right, Chiefs and Broncos now. Patrick Mahomes, go ahead and start him. Russell Wilson, sit him. We just seen the matchup 2 weeks ago in Arrowhead Stadium here. Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to be a start in this one, especially after torching the Chargers at Arrowhead as well. Now they go on the road against the Broncos. It was kind of like, hey, here's a warm-up game before a big divisional game again, and then let's blow that team out the water with my performance, and then let's go back and beat up on the warm-up team. That's pretty much what this game feels like for me. Patrick Mahomes, I'd be surprised if he doesn't throw almost 3 to 4 touchdowns again this game without question. Moving on, you got the Ravens and the Cardinals, and I'm going to go ahead and start Lamar Jackson and sit Romeo Doubs. Lamar Jackson, again, has that rushing upside. Whether, it's a trap game or not, they could still lose it. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a trap game for fantasy points. Lamar Jackson does have that rushing ability, and he also does have a good arm as of right now this year. I mean, he's definitely proven the offensive coordinator correct as of why he wants to throw it a little bit more and use the running backs a little bit more in the rush rather than his quarterback, and it's definitely panned out for the Ravens so far. Sunday Night Football, Bears and Chargers. Tyson Bagent, I'm actually going to give him a sit. I wanted to give him a cautionary start just because he did well against the Raiders last week at home. And the Raiders are a little bit of a better pass defense team than the Chargers. I still feel like even if you wanted to play him, he's still going to only maybe get you 10 to 12 points. To me, I would like to see a little bit more. Matthew Stafford, at least you have a veteran who's going to guarantee you 13 points but could go farther. I don't think that's the case with Tyson Bagent. I think Bagent is going to be a, potential 10 to 12, but it's not a guarantee. At least you have a guarantee with Stafford. So if I had to choose between those two, obviously you're probably going to choose Matthew Stafford. I would hope you would choose Matthew Stafford, and I shouldn't have to explain that to you. But hey, we are here not only to help people, that might be asking what's my options and thinking, maybe somebody else is thinking the same way. We're here to help you with that, but not only that, we're here to help the people that are new in fantasy football. Any way to help that way. Chargers side of the ball, Justin Herbert, start him, no doubt about it. Bears are also one of the worst pass defenses. Now, they did get 2 interceptions, but again, it was bad quarterback play from Brian Hoyer and the Raiders offense in general. But Justin Herbert, I like the opportunity to go ahead and start him. Speaking of the Raiders, they're facing the Lions this week. Jimmy G is again questionable with a back injury. I don't think he plays, so I'm going to go ahead and sit him. Now, even if he does play, it's a back injury. I'm not risking it. Sit him, please. Brian Hoyer is going to be the same thing for me in this one. Sit him. He played terrible against the Bears, and they have one of the worst pass defenses in the league right now on fantasy football terms. Lions side of the ball, though, you're going to go ahead and start Jared Goff. There's no doubt about it. Yes, he might have struggled for that game against the Ravens. It's kind of one of those tough games. Again, it's a trap game to me, I felt like, last week for the Lions. Even though I did think Jared Goff was a start, I do think that he had a potential to definitely pull up some fantasy points. However, on the other side of that, he didn't play very well. Now, this game, I feel like he can definitely do so go ahead and start him. And that's going to go ahead and do it for our quarterback start sits for Week 8. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you made it all the way through. We definitely appreciate it. It helps us go a long way. We're looking for 2 more subscribers. We're at 48, trying to get to that 50 mark just so we can maybe go live. Looking into doing some maybe Q&As on Sunday, stuff like that in the near future. We just need to hit a certain subscriber goal first. So try to get us 2 more subscribers. We definitely would appreciate it. Other than that, you guys, best of luck on your fantasy football this week, and we'll talk to you next week.